Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our weekly press conference. We, of course, wish that this were the annual briefing ahead of Thunder over Louisville weekend, but for obvious reasons, that continues to be a good decision that was made a few days ago, and as the flooding continues where we're dealing with it. So today we're going to give an update on the flooding, some other actions that folks from our Louisville Metro government team and first responders have been working on throughout the past several days. Talk about the days ahead and what comes next as the floodwaters start receding. You'll also get an update from Brian Bingham with MSD just to give a little bit of an overview. I think it's important that the community know what is keeping so much of our city dry right now, notwithstanding these historic floods that we're dealing with. So first, where we are right now is at the upper locks, which you can see the live feed here of downtown Louisville. You can see the 2nd Street Bridge in the background. That is currently at 35.7 feet. Just to give folks a comparison, normal is 12 feet. So we're 23 feet above normal. We expect that the Ohio River will rise about another 1 foot over the course of the next 24 hours, at which point it is expected to crest tomorrow at 37 feet, which is definitely a top 10 flood in Louisville's history. If you look further out, still on Saturday, when Thunder over Louisville was originally planned to be, the Ohio River is still expected to be at around a 30-foot level, which is 18 feet higher than normal. So 18 feet higher than normal this Saturday still, and then into next week is when the floodwaters will start to significantly recede from what we're seeing right now. Just driving in this morning to downtown on I-64, you can see just how much of the waterfront, how much of River Road, how much the river has overtaken. You can see over my right shoulder here a picture of Shawnee Golf Course. And until you're standing up against this, it's tough to feel the scale of how much real estate the river takes over in this historic flooding event. Some updates from over the last 24 hours. Louisville Fire Department Chief O'Neill is here with us today. Louisville Fire Department, LMPD, and others participated in helping 66 individuals that were at a hotel in Zorn Avenue, which quickly became surrounded by water, get out of there safely and dryly. We had teams that went through the apartments right on River Road near downtown, door to door. There they helped one individual and her dog get out that had not yet been relocated. Those apartments have been vacated. MSD over the last 24 hours took additional precautions with the rising floodwaters and installed floodgates at 8th Street and 11th Street. And also, while we have been focused on everything within Louisville, Jefferson County, we also have been extending to support our neighbors in surrounding counties, particularly in Bullitt County, which has been challenged. And so LMPD on Sunday sent a dive and rescue crew there to support Bullitt County. And we have also been housing the Bullitt County inmates from their correctional facility at our jail here in Louisville. Given that they had to evacuate that, we expect them to be moving back into their jail over the next 24 hours. But we are happy that we're able to help with our resources to help out our good neighbors in times like this. Our teams will be continuing to work, and then we'll turn into cleanup effort as well in the coming days as the water starts receding. I'll talk a little bit more about cleanup here in a moment. I want to continue to urge people to abide by all of the barricades that are out. Some additional roads have been closed as the waters reach their height. We're getting to the end of probably streets that will need to be closed, but these barricades will remain as long as necessary, and just continue to please abide by those for your safety and for the safety of first responders that will not be needed to come rescue you if you don't abide by the barricades and road closures. So please don't drive through water. Yesterday I was down observing some of the flooding and saw some kayakers. Please don't kayak. I know this is, or go out in the water other ways. I know this is an interesting, extreme, historic event. But by doing things like that, you run the risk of getting stuck, which means our first responders will need to come rescue you, and you're putting our first responders at risk in addition to yourself. There is so much debris, as you can see here from this live feed right here, and that doesn't even show nearly as much debris as some other areas that I have observed myself. There's so much debris in the water. The current is so incredibly fast. These are not safe conditions to be in. Please do not kayak or canoe or boat in these flood waters at this time. You're putting yourself and first responders at risk. And then also in terms of the cleanup. So the flood waters will start receding, and we're not going to wait until the flood waters have totally receded before the cleanup starts. We're going to get on it right away. There is going to be so much debris left from these historic floods that we are going to get on this right away. And so our crews are going to be working overtime from first responder agencies, from our public works agencies, from solid waste management, are all going to be working on this cleanup as necessary to get Louisville back to where it was before the flood. Waterfront Park is talking about having some community cleanup opportunities with opportunities for people to volunteer. We've gotten a lot of questions about how can individuals help? Are there things that they can do that they can volunteer for? Those opportunities will be coming in the days and week ahead, but we're waiting until we have a bit more clarity on the exact timing of some of the flood waters receding before those opportunities are finalized. So stay tuned, but if people are interested in volunteering or helping out, there will be plenty of opportunities, particularly at Waterfront Park. But again, our teams will be working overtime. Also, when it comes to the Kentucky Derby Festival events, while Thunder was canceled, all of the other Kentucky Derby Festival events are going on as scheduled. The team at Kentucky Derby Festival is working 24/7 right now, making some tweaks to events that they need to make in terms of specific locations that are impacted by the floods. But otherwise, everything with the Kentucky Derby Festival is scheduled to continue as it is right now. We're focused on the floods, but we can't forget that last week our city suffered from an EF3 tornado that did significant damage in other parts of our community that are not along the Ohio River, in Fairdale, in J-Town, in Middletown, in other parts of the city as well from the incredibly strong winds. And so now that the rain has ended, we have opened up storm debris drop-off locations around the entire city. Those opened up yesterday, and again, assuming that there's good weather, that will be open from 2 to 7 every day this week, these locations. And on April 12th, on Saturday, will be open from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Those locations we have posted about at Shawnee Park, at Tom Sawyer Park, at Charlie Ventnor Park, Highview Park, Fern Creek Park, at the Hubbards Lane Recycling Center, 535 Merriweather Avenue, at the Fairdale Recycling Center, and at the Public Works Yard, which is at 10500 Lower River Road. All of those locations, those 9 locations, are open this entire week for storm debris drop-off. Tree debris is what is accepted there. These are not junk drop-offs, but these are storm debris, so tree debris, and it's for residents only. This is not for commercial businesses to drop off as well. Additionally, I thought we were done with talking about potholes for the season, but these storms might have exacerbated some of the potholes that we have throughout the communities. And so, as I've stated about a month or so ago, if you see potholes that have formed or that have been reopened up or that have gotten worse as a result of these storms, please continue to call in those pothole locations to 311 and give us information about where potholes are so we can get out there and fix any potholes that are out there. If you come across, I know that there have been some places where traffic lights have been turned off, where electricity has been turned off in certain locations because of the flooding. So if you come across traffic signals that are flashing, please treat those as stop signs and observe traffic rules accordingly. We will continue to provide more information on all the debris cleanup and what we're doing in that regard as the flood waters continue to recede. I'm now going to introduce Brian Bingham from MSD that's just going to give a little bit of an overview about MSD's operations, about their flood protection system that is keeping us in the condition that we are. And then after Brian, I'll come back up and happy to answer any questions from members of the media. Brian?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Again, my name is Brian Bingham. I'm the Chief Operations Officer at MSD. And as everyone can see, we're all very busy, but I want to talk a little bit about what we're doing, how we're doing it, and what the results are. And I just realized when I was sitting here talking about it that there are some comparisons to 1997. That's the flood we all talk about. The upper river, when it reaches its crest tomorrow, I believe it is, at 37 will be about a foot below the 97 flood. The lower part of the river will be about 2 feet below. But those are comparable, and these are major events. So big efforts take place. The flood protection system along the Ohio River was constructed because of floods in the past, 37, 45, and other years. There are 16 flood pump stations, 26 miles of levee and dams, more than 400 gates that have to be closed or changed to be able to keep the water in and pump the water out. Those 16 flood pump stations can pump a total of 11 billion gallons a day if the system is fully inundated and pumping out of there. We haven't had to pump that amount because the rainfall, while significant inside the system, hasn't been that big. So we have pumped since Friday a little over 8 billion gallons to this point, and we're pumping about 2.5 billion gallons a day. The majority of that, more than half of that, has been pumped through the Pond Creek Flood Pump Station, which is the downstream most one in our system, and takes flow from a large area, including Oklahoma, Fairdale, and some of the areas that have had significant issues in the past. Those issues in the past have not been associated with that flood pump station, but it does help get that water out to keep from increasing the elevations there. The second most, about 12% of that, about 1 billion gallons, has been pumped out of the Beargrass Creek, which is our most upstream. Those are our two biggest in the system. There are 14 more in between there, scattered throughout downtown Louisville, West Louisville, and Southwest Jefferson County. So all in all, those have worked well. All 16 have been in service. All 16 of those are manned while we operate them. So a lot of this is still 1950s technology, 1950s pump. It's a good thing they built things really well then, but there's a lot of work that goes into keeping those running. We have a very dedicated staff, but most people would be surprised to know we only have 26 employees in the flood protection division. But when we get in events like this, we pull in from all other areas of MSD, including a lot out of the main office and some of the functions that would normally be office functions, and we swell that to more than 100 people that are involved. It's a true community-wide effort and organization-wide effort. We work very hard to make that work. We will have most of these in service through the end of the week. The river, thankfully, is going to start decreasing later in the week, and as the mayor said, it's still going to be about 30 feet on Saturday, but early next week it will drop back down to where a lot of the cleanup can actually happen. One other thing I want to throw in there, as I did my comparison to 97, obviously we had mass devastation in the community inland, the inland flooding that occurred, especially in Oklahoma, Fairdale, Southwest Jefferson County, and some other areas. We have built more than 1 billion gallons of additional storage since then. We've made a number of other improvements. We didn't get quite the rain there, although we did get almost 8 inches of rain over this storm. But normally, if we hadn't built that, there would have been much more flooding. This was a major win for the community. I know that's not going to feel like that to those who were impacted. We did have a couple of hundred people who had water in their basements, and there were a few, I think, that actually did get floodwaters in their homes. But typically, this would have been an event where we would have had hundreds, if not thousands, of houses flooded. So we are very proud of what we have done and how we have used the community's resources. We continue to operate these flood pump stations, and we actually have one that will be reconstructed within the next couple of years. That construction is ongoing at Patty's Run. We're more than doubling the size of that one. So as we upgrade and update these, the goal is always to provide at least the same service, but hopefully better service, and we're being able to do that in that case. That's all I have. I'm going to hand it back to the mayor, but I'll be available for questions.
Thanks, Brian. Thank you, Brian. And just one more thing about the flood protection system. So we have the levees that are around various parts of the community. The levees are sort of those earthen burns that you might see in Southwest Jefferson County along the river, where there's a great running trail and better conditions than this. But that's the levee. We also have floodgates where we put the floodgates in, as we have in the past week, to protect certain areas like downtown and other communities along the river near downtown. That's all to keep the water out as the river rises. What the pumps are doing, the pumps are taking water from the other side of the flood wall, the dry side of the flood wall, that get go into certain areas and pumping it rapidly onto the other side of the levee or the floodgates. So just to provide that clarification, is gravity is the best way to get the flood waters out of the city and into the Ohio River, but the flood pumps are there when gravity is not just doing it, and we're adding capacity to bring them from one side of the flood protection system to the other. So it's all working in tandem. And as Brian said, we're very fortunate to have the strength of our flood protection system, that we do not have even worse damage than we're currently seeing given this historic level of flooding. Those are some of my updates. We have a lot else, other things going on across our city as well. Of course, Kentucky Derby Festival events are starting in the lead up to the 151st Kentucky Derby. It's always an exciting time of year. I've been working on my budget through all of this as well, and I'll be proposing our next fiscal year's Metro government budget to Metro Council later this month. So I know we've been focused on flood walls, but the team at Louisville Metro Government continues to focus on many other things as well to continue to keep the positive momentum that we have going all across the city. So that's our update for the week, and with that, I'm happy to answer any questions from members of the media about floods or anything else.
I had a question about MSD. You had mentioned a couple hundred people who had water in their basements. Can you maybe talk a little bit more about that? Are we talking about the sanitary?
I am. It's primarily in the sanitary and combined sewer systems. Sometimes when those systems become inundated, houses that were built low and have basement service or basement drains into them, it can back up. We do have a program, if people have experienced that they can call MSD 540-6000. We have a program that will actually work with them to have sump pump, to have either a disconnection or changes made to their plumbing to eliminate that. We have done thousands of those over the years. If this event had happened 20 years ago, we would have 10 or 20 times the number that we have now.
You had initially said wait till the water comes down. Have you all actually started working with folks yet?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And we kept working with the ones that we could get into. So what happens if we send out a message, or if we give a customer a message that says the system is inundated, please call us back when it's not gone down. We still keep them in the system and we follow up. But what we have done is we've been out and we have popped those manhole lids open, and we can see that the system is full, so we can't even get in there to see where the issue is. So we've got to wait till the system drains back down, which it has done. We still are at maximum flow at most of our treatment plants, and our sewer system is very full, but it is not in that surcharged condition that it stays in. And one of the reasons that it can surcharge is some people will have illicitly connected sump pumps in their basement, and it doesn't take very many sump pumps to take up the capacity of a normal subdivision size line. So an 8-inch sewer is the smallest one we have. 4 houses sump pumps running can fill that up. So you can actually even hurt yourself or hurt your neighbors if you do that. Please, if you have that situation, reach out to us and we'll work with you.
I have a question for you, Mayor, about that triple homicide in Portland. Obviously, can you just tell us a little bit about that?
So LMPD has provided some information about that, and I'm going to let them continue to provide it. I think they've notified the public that 2 men and 1 woman were found killed in their home in Portland earlier this morning. It's an unfortunate tragedy. Still looking for a lot of answers on that. I don't have many answers myself yet. We'll certainly provide those as we are able to. The investigation will be significant. We hope to find the individual or individuals responsible for this. And it's a tragedy. Anytime someone gets shot, anytime someone loses life, that there's gun violence. We have been seeing positive progress overall. This year to date, our total shootings are down nearly 30%. Prior to today, when I saw yesterday's statistics, our homicides are down 40% for the year. All of that is positive progress. Then when you hear about a triple homicide and you think about the 3 individuals whose lives were lost, their families, friends, neighborhoods, the community that's been impacted, it just is a reminder that we still have a lot more work to do. While we're seeing progress, we have to double and triple down and continue this work every day to continue to end gun violence in our community.
Mayor, do you know how well the city the dams and impoundments that held up during this?
I'm sorry, can you say again, Marcus?
Do you know how well the city-owned dams and impoundments have held up during the heavy rainfall?
The question is about the city-owned dams and how they're holding up during this rainfall. From my understanding, we're doing well. That there is none that we're currently at risk of, being breached or broken or anything like that. And so, from my perspective, and my understanding is that all of the dams are holding up well. Eleanor. Yeah, that's okay. That's what I'm here for.
Ohio Valley Wrestling was recently sold. I was just wondering what your reaction to that being sold to that UK company was. Being involved with it.
So the question was about Ohio Valley Wrestling recently been sold. It's been I'm very proud to have been a co-owner of Ohio Valley Wrestling since prior to my time as mayor. And so we recently entered into a transaction where an individual from the United Kingdom is buying a majority interest in Ohio Valley Wrestling and will be managing that business leading forward. I've not been active in the business. I've had a fairly full-time job the past 2+ years, and so Matt Jones has been leading the company in my absence, and I'm pleased for the future of Ohio Valley Wrestling that has a new owner that has had success in the soccer industry over in Europe, and he's really excited about continuing to build Ohio Valley Wrestling into the future. So I will still have a small minority ownership interest in it, but I will not be involved in any day-to-day activity of the business or anything like that. Yes, but I wish them the best, and it's great news for the company and for the future of OVW.
Mayor, you may not know the answer to this, but we had a listener ask if the city is going to make an exception to the no trash bags on the curb rule, given that folks had basements flood, they've got stuff that they need to get out that's going to be much more than what they can put into a small container.
So the question was about, is the city going to make exceptions to the no trash bags on the curb rule? That is the first time I'm being asked that question, but my answer is that I think we'll be working with individuals. We understand that this is really extraordinary times with a historic flood. We want to help people get back on track as quickly as they can. And if people have extra trash bags that they need to put out for solid waste management, we understand in these times. Oh, the one thing I do ask, don't dump your trash bags illegally. Either put them out on your curb for solid waste management. If you have tree debris, bring them to our debris drop-off site. Have another contractor. But we have been working incredibly hard to crack down on illegal dumping, to clean up alleys and other areas that have seen that. And so we are not going to tolerate that.
Kind of on that way, homeowners and businesses kind of along River Road, specifically where we were yesterday, that are experiencing that flooding in their homes. Is there anyone with the city they can call, any help with that as the river recedes and they start to clean up?
So again, the question was about cleanup and along River Road. Yeah, River Road has, the area that has seen the most amount of impact along the Ohio River. If anyone has questions or if they need additional assistance, please dial 311. And we will see what we can do to help individuals depending on the circumstances. So please call 311 if you need assistance, and somebody will get back to you about how we can help.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
So in addition to that, every home that's flooded along the river is in the FEMA floodplain. We have a local community floodplain ordinance. There are some requirements for permitting to rebuild. That will go through MSD. So reach out to MSD when you're ready to start doing that. We will work with everyone to get them through that process quickly. Just want to make sure everybody follows the rules and nothing becomes an issue. But thank you.
Okay. Any questions? A couple more over here. Yep.
Do we expect that there's going to be any more evacuations? How much more rise in the floodwaters do you think we'll see?
The question was whether we expect any more evacuations. As far as I know, we do not expect any more evacuations. Some of the buildings, like the apartment building along River Road, some of the buildings down by Zorn and River Road, those have now all been evacuated. And based on the projected 1-foot additional rise, we don't expect any more additional evacuations needed at this time. Thank you all. Any other questions? Thank you all very much. Have a good day.